Mm-mm. Good morning, and thank you for joining today's webinar titled Writing Healthcare Job Descriptions That Stand Out. Without further ado, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Hierology's Market Strategy Lead, Brett Kerhofer. Brett, you may begin.
All right. Thank you so much, Deanna. Good to be here. Thank you all for joining. Before we get started, just a little bit more about myself. My name is Brett Kerhofer, Market Strategy Lead here at Hierology. Been with the business now going on a little over 7 years, and I've had the pleasure of spending the vast majority of my time here focused on the healthcare vertical, working with our customers, helping them to build their best teams. I'm excited today to talk about how we can write job descriptions in the healthcare market that stand out. So let's go ahead, and as we get started, I want to sort of level set on what you can expect to get answered from today's session. So a couple of questions we are going to answer is, how do I format my job descriptions to stand out on crowded job boards? How can I optimize my job descriptions for search? What should I include in my job descriptions to maximize applicant flow? Where should I distribute my jobs for maximum reach? And what roles does AI and how can they contribute to writing job descriptions? What can you expect? Where can you lean in on AI? So before we dig in, I wanted to give you sort of a quick overview of where employers in the healthcare space are at when it comes to hiring challenges. Based on a recent Hierology survey of more than 100 HR professionals at healthcare-specific organizations, we found that overall, despite a cooling job market, most people are still finding the hiring climate to be incredibly challenging. 94% said that hiring at their facility is still somewhat or extremely challenging. 90% say retention is still a challenge. 44% say they feel hiring is even more challenging than it was a year ago. And about 50% have more roles open this year than they did last year, while 26% said the number of open roles has actually stayed the same. And so when you think about the state of the healthcare employment in the last few years, this makes sense. The pandemic triggered extreme burnout among many of these professionals who had opportunities to seek work outside of this field. And on top of that, younger workers entertaining the workforce are less likely to choose CNA or RN professions. So these challenges bring us to the topic of today's conversation, which is job descriptions. Why does a good job description matter? Why do we need to get these right in order to chip away the challenges from the last slide? Well, essentially, it's two reasons. Number one is applicant volume. A great job description will capture the attention of more job seekers who are sifting through hundreds of options for work and are looking to quickly identify openings that meet their needs and match their skill set. And number two, attract quality, quality over quantity. The right job description will also help you attract people with the right skill sets and experience to apply to your jobs, ultimately helping you increase your applicant to candidate ratio and candidate to hire ratio. So let's start with formatting your job descriptions. What should they look like to maximize reach and capture more applicants out there today? Typically, what we recommend to our customers is to follow a structured formula for these job descriptions. Don't start with job responsibilities and duties. Rather, start with a quick summary of what makes your company unique. How can you stand out? Second, do a quick summary of the job for SEO purposes. And what I mean by this is 1 to 2 sentences max that is very bare bones about the overview of what the job is using relevant keywords. Most people aren't going to read beyond these two first sections. So you need to stand out by describing why your company is unique and what the job actually is. 3, dive right into the benefits or the what's in it for the applicant. This is critical, and right, it means that benefits go higher up in the job description because, again, you're going to lose people who have short attention spans. People want to know first and foremost that you offer what you're looking for from an applicant perspective before they want to learn more about what the role entails. So this is where you highlight everything that is most important to your applicants: your flexibility, your culture, your benefits, even career growth, if that's something you offer, which we're going to touch on further down the line in this presentation and how you can maximize that and market that to your applicants. Then you can dig into responsibilities and requirements of the role. And finally, always include an equal opportunity employer statement, which again, we'll dive into as this presentation goes on. So overall, ask yourself, does your job description make you feel excited to work at this job and at this company? Use this description to help drive excitement as a way to promote your employer branding to stand out against competitors. So let's look at some examples, starting with the company overview and job summary. You can see these listed on the screen, but particularly, these are what stand out to me and what I really like about these. The first one at the top, it leads with workplace culture, company goals, fulfilling work before even ever describing what's required of the role. It draws the reader in by immediately appealing to their needs. And the second one, they chose to lead with a description of the community around them as a perk, which I think works here. They also immediately touch on growth opportunities and work-life balance. Again, appealing to what the job seeker wants right off the bat. Next is benefits. And here's what I like about these examples. It's bulleted for scannability and SEO purposes, which is search engine optimization. The example on the left-hand side lists perks like training and growth opportunities, tuition reimbursement, and even smaller things like free parking and meals, which, when you think about it in the long run, really add up. And they also mention their employee referral bonus. On the right-hand side, you'll see the benefits come immediately after the job summary and company overview, following our formula quite nicely. I also like how the example on the right mentions that they promote from within, which gives job seekers an idea of what growth opportunities might be available for them at that organization. And here are some examples for the requirements and responsibilities section. So in these examples, I like the fact that it's again bulleted for SEO and readability. They mention more soft skills like compassion and integrity, which makes it more applicable to a wider audience than when you focus exclusively on experience and training. And when it comes to experience and training, they're not too specific and narrow, which can prevent people from applying. I like the phrases in both of these, like, we can train you, or new grads welcome to apply. This is more inviting to people who may not meet all the requirements, but are willing to put the work in to get those skill sets. And finally, I want to touch on the EEO statement. And if you're not familiar with what this is, it's essentially a paragraph or two declaring a company's commitment to providing equal employment opportunities for all applicants and employees, regardless of things like race, religion, gender, national origin, age, disability, marital status, or even veteran status. There's lots of ways that you can phrase your EEO statement, and you can find ideas for phrasing like this one online, but I've included one here as a sample. Feel free to take this. Simple and to the point. EEO statements are also a great way to encourage more people to apply, as it shows you're welcoming to anyone, no matter what their background is. So we talked about how to structure your job ads, and we talked about the importance of listing your benefits higher up in your job ads than you might be used to. Now, I want to dig into what benefits you do want to include. What's most important for the job seeker? What will make them inclined to apply to your role specifically? Well, last year, Hireology surveyed applicants in the healthcare space, and we asked them exactly that. We found that only 9% say that nothing will ever entice them to accept a lower paying job if presented with two offers. What that means is that 91% of job seekers will take a lower offer if their needs for benefits are met. So, what are the top sought after benefits? What's going to resonate with them most? You'll see in the chart here that people want essentially three things: schedule flexibility, career growth, and good culture. So let's dive in a little bit more into how you can communicate these benefits in your job descriptions. Here's a few examples of some job descriptions mentioning flexibility that I like and why I like them. You can see that they mention the value of work-life balance. So they're giving the why behind their flexibility offerings. The top one actually mentions flexible schedules. So weekends, in-home or facility-based shifts. But also, why I like it is that it focuses on that unique flexibility, more so on the type of work that they're doing, which offers some variety in the day-to-day, right? It's not the same thing every single day. And then the bottom one you can see offers a similar concept, focusing on the different types of shifts that they can take, given the people a power and control they want to have over their work-life schedules. They can use that in scheduling their shifts. That way they give some more flexibility, again, on that day-to-day. So for career growth, a few examples I like. The top one, simple but to the point, it mentions career growth and advancement within the company. The second one is more direct, saying that they work their way up to higher hourly pay and give them a time frame. The level of detail is great because it makes job seekers take you more seriously. They can see a clear path. And in the bottom example, I like the mention of all the training you need to show up on your first day, right? People can take that and say, hey, I might not have the hard skills right away, but I can learn and this company can invest in me. This is enticing to me. This is something that stands out when applicants think about career growth. And finally, here are a few examples of mentions of culture within job ads that I think are really strong. So the top example, I like that they acknowledge the toll that these jobs can take on workers in this sector. So think about it like this: showing empathy is just as important as anything else when it comes to culture and burnout in healthcare. And immediately make in your job description a statement about how you address the type of stress by treating the staff the same way that you treat the patients, right? The second example takes a bold approach by comparing their facility to a cruise ship on land, but I'm sure it captures the attention of job seekers. I also know that they mention their mission and values, which is a leading indicator of a great culture. Without defining values and sticking to them, it's very hard to control the culture within an organization. And in the third example, you see this as a quote from an employee, which they include directly within the job ad. So bringing in testimonials isn't something you always see in job descriptions, but I think it really works in this case. It helps paint a picture of how employees feel about the culture. Again, it's that show, don't tell mentality. All right. Now that we know how to format your job descriptions and what you should include in your benefits section, let's talk a little bit more about optimizing for SEO, or again, search engine optimization. First, I want to touch on the importance of SEO job descriptions. In our applicant survey I mentioned earlier, we found that nearly half of all job seekers use Google to find their jobs. And we also know that job seekers are more likely to take the first offer they receive. So if your jobs aren't showing up in Google search results, you're likely missing out on a large number of qualified candidates who are finding jobs quickly via Google searches and accepting them right away. So when it comes to SEO, it's all about the little details in there. So think about it like this. Don't overcomplicate your job titles. Use generally accepted titles in the industry, and don't add on things like $20 an hour or no nights and no weekends at the end of the job titles. You might think that this is going to capture attention, but actually in the long run, it's going to tell Google that your job is potentially a scam. Next is put yourself in the minds of job seekers and use keywords they might be looking for. So maybe CNA no experience or CNA flexible schedule. Google prioritizes readability, so break up the text into different sections with section headers and list everything in bullet points. Again, going back to scannability. Because the type of jobs you're hiring for require people to be on site and in person, be sure to use local SEO. So that means include the name of your location in your job descriptions when people are searching for CNA Chicago jobs. That way your jobs show up. And finally, consider how your job appears on Google Jobs, which is essentially Google's version of a job board. Basically, think about it like this. It's how they show results for job searches when people are searching on Google. Many ATSs can help with this, but there are things you can do like leverage structured data to make Google know to pull your job to the very, very top and pull it from your career site. Next, I want to touch on distributing your jobs. With a great job description ready, where should you post your jobs to make sure you're maximizing your reach to the right audiences? And the key is diversification, right? Never put all your eggs in one single basket. It's easy to want to just prioritize Indeed given the popularity of the site. And yes, Indeed is very important to many employers' recruiting strategies, but it can't be the only source that you use. You need to have a diversified strategy across the channels that drive the most applicants per job and eventual hires per job. And often the channel that drives the high volume of applicants isn't always the channel that's bringing the highest volume of eventual hires. Again, it's that quality over quantity mindset that is most important to take here. So let's back into what applicants told us, right? In that survey that we found that Indeed, as is to be expected, is the most commonly used channel, but it's not the only channel they're using. After Indeed, it's Google search, LinkedIn, and career sites that all tie for second place, followed closely by networking. So let's dig into how we can get the most out of those three channels. I want to dig into those three particular, but let's start with Indeed. And as we know, Indeed is really important given that it's the #1 job site out there in the world, and it's a top source used by healthcare applicants. So I wanted to touch on some best practices here. Number one, keep job postings between 100 and 325 words. If you do that, that type of job posting gets up to 30% more applicants than other job postings that are longer. Number two, keep job titles to 35 characters or write about 5 words or less to optimize for mobile searches. Number three, consider sponsoring your jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs are 4.5 times more likely to result in a hire. And number four, avoid stock content, inflated job descriptions, and internal jargon that people might not know. And I'd be very remiss of me not to mention that Hierology is a gold integration partner with Indeed, which means our ATS integrates directly with their feed. All jobs are automatically pushed organically. We also share data with Indeed to help optimize performance, and you can actually manage your sponsored ad spend and track ROI directly from a Hierology. So if this is something you're interested in learning more about, just let us know. Next, I want to touch on employee referrals. We know that your team is willing to refer a friend, and job seekers value their friends and former colleagues' opinions on employers, especially in the healthcare space. People are highly connected, and when it comes to factors like culture and workplace environment, they really trust their peers. So, what does a good employee referral program look like? A couple things. Align your bonus payout to the difficulty of filling the role. People need to have motivation to participate because recruiting it's not their top job. You have to pay them for what they're doing and what they're bringing to you. Plus, harder to fill roles should come with a higher payout. Number two, make submitting referrals easy for your employees. Again, this is not their job, so don't make them jump through a bunch of hoops just to refer someone. Make it really easy to do this on their phones. Tools like Hierology can facilitate this with a really easy chatbot. Submitting a referral literally can take seconds, and you'll see that screenshot here on the slide. Number three, frequently communicate the program internally. Human beings need to hear things many times before it sinks in, so consistently remind people of your program, what roles you're prioritizing currently, how to submit someone, what their payout is, things like that. Fourth, consider automation campaigns and use text instead of email. Save the time it takes your team to constantly remind people about your program by automating campaigns and consider text instead of email. Nurses and CNAs and other positions of the like aren't always on a computer day to day, but they always have their phone near them, and it's much easier to read a text than pull up an email on your mobile device. And finally, always follow through on your bonus payout promises. Build trust with your team by always making sure that you stay organized and follow through on bonus payout promises. That is going to lead to high adoption. And finally, I wanted to dig into career sites for a minute. Employers' own websites are tied for second place as the most commonly used channel for finding jobs. And unlike on Indeed and other channels, you have 100% control over your career site. This is your opportunity to define your brand and really influence what job seekers think about you as an employer. Your career site should follow many of the same principles as your job descriptions. It should highlight the benefits you offer that we know job seekers want. So higher up on the page, the better, as well as your job descriptions and what makes your organization unique. So similar to those company overview examples that we saw earlier, we want to highlight here on the career site. So include photos of your team, highlighting testimonials like the one you see here, and include testimonials in a video format if available. Again, this is your chance to completely control the reputation of your company as an employer, so you can and you should go big with it. And last but not least, let's touch on how technology can help here. AI is one of the hottest buzzwords across all business sectors these days, and I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on how it can help you and your job descriptions. So first, I wanted to quickly share some findings from our most recent employer study that I mentioned earlier. We surveyed about 100 HR professionals at healthcare facilities, and we found that most are not entirely comfortable with the idea of AI just yet. And that's to be expected. It can be an intimidating and somewhat scary topic to cover right now. But at the same time, most admit that they really don't understand where AI can fit in with recruitment, which might explain some of the comfort issues there. Which is why I want to show you some of the things you can do with AI right now when it comes to job ads. So first and foremost, you can and should be experimenting with ChatGPT or other generative content AI applications. You can use it to write SEO optimized job descriptions that resonate with job seekers in the industry. ChatGPT works by leveraging what they know works already on the internet and using the information to create something that is likely to be effective. So it can help you move faster by creating really quality job descriptions that you can tweak and meet to your specific job needs. Of course, you can learn over time what the right decisions are for your needs specifically and tweak as necessary. The good news here is that Hierology actually offers this functionality directly within our app, saving you even more time. You can use our AI feature to generate job descriptions in a matter of seconds that you can instantly distribute across all leading applicant sourcing channels, including Indeed. Overall, this helps you connect with job seekers within minutes of a new job being created. You can also use ChatGPT to go even further and compare resumes to job descriptions or compare resumes to one another. The opportunity here, they're really endless. And of course, I don't recommend that ChatGPT be the end result when it comes to final decisions. That should be left to a human. But they're really great for saving you time and helping you work smarter, not harder. And that's what I wanted to share with you all today. So to summarize, a couple key things to take away. Number one, the healthcare talent shortage remains a problem for facilities-based care and in-home care organizations everywhere. If you're thinking you're alone, trust me, you're not. Number two, attracting CNA and RN talent amidst a shortage starts with writing job ads that align with what job seekers want. And that's growth, flexibility, and more. So think good job descriptions follow a formula and lead with benefits, and they really highlight what you offer and why you're better than the employer down the street. And last but not least, don't just stop with your job descriptions. It's important to diversify your applicant sourcing channels. Don't put all your eggs in one singular basket. Reach healthcare talent where they're searching. And so I've included a QR code here if you want access to the full report with all the data that I mentioned today in the webinar. And of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to info@hierology.com. I want to give a big shout out to the Hierology team for hosting this webinar today. It's been great joining you all. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out here, and we are more than happy to help.
Thank you, Brett, for another insightful presentation. Just allow a few minutes for attendees to submit any questions if they may have.
Okay, thank you so much.
If not, as mentioned by Brett, please go ahead and just submit your questions to info@hierology.com and we'll get back to you within the same day. All right. Well, thank you so much, Brett. Once again, thank you everyone for attending. I hope you have a lovely day.
Thank you.